Okay, so we're just going to try and get acquainted with the basics of Affinity Photo's interface. And to help me demonstrate the interface, I'm going to open up an image, so I can go to File and Open. And I'll just open up a JPEG file I've prepared. Okay, so once you've opened your image and you're ready to start editing it, this is the interface you'll see by default. And I'll just quickly point out a couple of panels as they're known. So on the left-hand side here, we have the Tools panel. And this contains the vast majority of tools you're going to be using for photo and image editing. Now next, up here we have the Context toolbar. So as its name suggests, this toolbar changes depending on the context of the tool you've got selected. So for example, if I select the Paintbrush tool, we now have a variety of settings with which to control the tool's behavior. Across on the right-hand side here, we have a variety of panels, and they offer such things as layer control, undo history, channel control, a histogram, and various color options. Now, something important to note is that some of Photo's additional functionality is exposed through additional panels. Now, these are not shown by default. To access them, you can go to View, Studio, and we have a variety of panels here that aren't checked, including Library and Macro panels, a Scopes panel, text styles, that type of thing. And if you're watching additional video tutorials, the tutorials will reference these panels, but they'll always show you how to access them first. So then, unique to Affinity Photo is the concept of personas. So when we open a typical image like a JPEG or a TIFF, we start off in the photo persona. And this is your main editing workspace for doing all kinds of photo and image manipulations. It's the persona you'll no doubt be spending the most time in. Then across here we have Liquify. So the Liquify persona allows you to perform mesh-based distortions to your image, and as you can see, moving across to this persona, we've got a new set of tools on the toolbar here, and a new set of panels related to Liquify operations. So if I just cancel the Liquify persona, I then move back to the photo persona, and I can jump across to the Develop persona. Now the Develop persona is opened by default when you start loading raw images into Affinity Photo. So it's the initial step in developing raw images in what's known as an unbounded color space, which means you can push and pull tonal ranges all you want before finally committing the development and moving to the photo persona. However, you've just noticed that I've jumped into the Develop persona from a photo persona where I opened a JPEG. So it's also great if you've opened up your regular image like a JPEG or TIFF and you just want to quickly adjust your image. For example, because I've just opened that JPEG, I can jump straight in and start tweaking the shadows and highlights, perhaps change the black point, increase the midtones using the brightness slider, that type of thing. And across on the other panels here, you can perform lens corrections and various sharpening and noise reduction filters. So even if you're not shooting and editing in RAW, the Develop persona is a great way to just jump in and make some quick tonal adjustments to your image, as well as applying additional filters and adjustments. Okay, so I can then just click Develop to commit those small changes that I've made. Now next up is the Tone Mapping persona, which I'll just jump into now. Okay, now tone mapping is most commonly associated with HDR imagery. But as you've just seen, you can enter this persona from any valid pixel layer and you can achieve a tone mapping effect. So its panels are very similar in appearance to the Develop persona, which makes it relatively easy to start experimenting and seeing results. So I'll just do some quick tweaks to this and then click Apply. And then I'm back in the photo persona. So finally then, we have the export persona, which I'll just move across to now. Now, it's worth mentioning that if all you're doing with your images is exporting them to one format and one size, then you probably won't be using this persona much, if at all. What this persona allows you to do is define slices, either hand-drawn or from your layers, like so. Just move across to the slices panel here. So with these slices, you can export multiple versions of your final image in different formats and resolutions. So here are the different formats, and then we can add multiple resolutions as well. And it's a reasonably complex and very powerful system, and it's great primarily for UI and web design, but will really suit any use where you need additional export flexibility. So that's all the personas covered, and that was just a brief intro to Affinity Photo's interface. Photo is incredibly powerful, and there is a lot of functionality, some of which isn't exposed by default, and indeed may not be immediately obvious. I'd really recommend watching the comprehensive library of tutorials that we've developed, and if you want to quickly look up a tool or a feature, then we have an offline help system in the help menu here, where you can also search for relevant topics, and everything is organized into books that you can expand and explore. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or queries, please don't hesitate to ask on the Affinity forums, and don't forget to check out the other video tutorials. Thank you for watching.